My name's Emmie McLuskey. I'm an artist and I live in Glasgow. But yeah, as was said earlier, last year I started working with a group on the Isle of Skye and Lochalsh with an organisation called Atlas Arts. Atlas Arts is an arts organisation. They don't have an exhibition space. They're there's an office that's based in Portree, but they exist in many different spaces throughout the island and in Lochalsh too. And the School of Plural Futures, which is really nice to hear, there's a synergy with what you were doing, kind of started, I guess it was a proposal and an open call written by Ainsley Roddick, who is the director of Atlas Arts, who's an incredible person, who she started by, she was new in the post and she was wanting to spend this, I'll speak on her behalf, but she would say this differently. She really wanted to think about what it meant to be situated in a context in the Isle of Skye and the Lochalsh area. So she wanted to listen to the community and hear what people wanted, and for her it was very, very important to start with the young people. So I kind of came in to that dynamic through an open call situation, which was to work with a group of young people who were 16 to 25 at that time. I can't believe this was only last January, I think it started. And Atlas worked with people throughout the island and the mainland to identify different young people who might be interested in engaging with the subject of their local vicinity, home, how that intersects with social justice issues. So thinking about the environment and how this is interlinked with everything. So there were 8 young people that I started working with in January 2021. I can't remember what year it is this year. So we started, obviously at that point we were still in lockdown situations, so we began online, and the sort of structure of the school was that we would meet for an intensive weekend every 6 weeks, and that went on for 8 sessions. The early days we started online, and then we moved into meeting in person. And I guess for me, from the outset, I was the lead artist, but just thinking about what you were saying as well, Varen, I really didn't feel comfortable in being, leading in that way. For me, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that this project changed my life in that way, that the young people taught me about where they invited me into their home, and they taught me about what they wanted to speak about, what they wanted to know more about, to share. So I kind of started in a similar way to what you were describing, Ian, in that I felt like it was really important for us to get to know each other as individuals, because we were all from very different understandings, different backgrounds, different ways of learning. The group are an incredible mix of social activists, historians, artists, scientists. I don't want to miss anyone out. They're an incredible combination of things and understandings. And for me, it was really, really important to get to know what they wanted, how they wanted to direct these sessions, and who they wanted to invite in to these sessions as well. We went through a process of getting to know each other, asking what seems quite stupid questions, but when you dig, you dig into some of those questions, you get to know quite a lot about somebody. And I felt like it was really important as somebody not from Skye and Lochalsh to sort of get to know the history of the place. So I approached Catherine McPhee, who some of you are probably, I'm sure, aware of, who's an incredible person, and I asked her to give us a sort of alternative history of Skye and share with us. She's the archivist in the Skye and Lochalsh Archive Centre, and she kind of came to us with a variety of different artifacts, documents that we could think about how recent history had informed who we are. So we looked at lots of stuff to do with the Skye Bridge, or the protests around that, how local people protested, what local identity was, challenging that somehow. Andrew Black's also in the room with us today, who's another artist who lives in Glasgow, and I'm very grateful, was working on a film commission at a similar time to me working on the school. And as Andy was doing his research, his openness in sharing what he was doing kind of grew into the project that I was working on too, and the young people sort of became part of his film project, one of them ending up going to work on his film with him. Their views were expressed in the film too, which was really, really brilliant. We met a Gaelic poet called Miles Campbell, who talked to us about his understanding of the Gaelic language in relation to the land and how it's so interconnected. And he took us to the places that he'd written his poetry about, and we read with him. And that was an incredibly powerful experience as well. That sort of connection between, understanding that connection between us and the land and his words. There were so many incredible points throughout this, and of course Ian came to speak to us towards the end of the process, when I felt like maybe we were ready to have that conversation around imperialism and its relationship to the Gaeltacht. So at that point, we knew each other very, very well, and it was brilliant to have you there, Ian, as well. And we went on a walk together and looked at the land and spoke about community, and how community come together in the land. And I guess what I think is really, really important within all of this was that within my position, I felt like my role was really about trying to maintain an engagement and sit alongside everyone and really run along with what everyone needed. And there was no required outcomes from the start, which I think was a really, really important part of the school, because inevitably everybody wanted to create something together because they weren't told to. So we did end up making a book together, which Ian gave us the title, but I'm sure these words are from somebody else as well, which is A Person Is Not an Individual. And the publication we made, we brought together in December last year, and has contributions from all the young people in whatever the way they wanted to speak. Some of them have drawn, some of them have written letters, others have written essays, interviews. I don't have any copies with me today, but if you would like one, please do come and let me know. And next time I'm in Skye, I'll make you one. They're all made through the printing press there. And you can also read it online. But yeah, please come and give me your address, and I'll make sure I post you one before the year's out. What else did I want to say? I think that we're still very, very much in touch with the young people and trying to find ways of continuing the work. And I think one of the most incredible outcomes for me was seeing the change in myself, but also the change in the group, and seeing there was one amazing moment where the young historian ended up writing about her fellow activist's work in her thesis, and sort of you could see that going back into the archive with Catherine and seeing those cycles of people's different strengths really like complementing each other, and seeing how important that was to make those connections. And yeah, it's really inspirational to hear you all speak about the work you're doing and learn from that. And I'm trying to think at the moment of ways forward for the project. So yeah, it would be great to speak to you more. But yeah, I think that's everything I'd like to say. Thank you.